Alright, so in the last video we showed how we can now add in a couple new sprites so that when we catch the ball, we score a point, and if we catch the beach ball, we lose a point. Now, in our game, we're starting to make some progress and it's starting to come along, but it looks pretty plain. We just have this plain white background. So I want to come over here. You see this area over here where it says stage. And I want to come down here where it says new backdrop, and I'm going to click on this landscape scene. And in here now, I can choose a backdrop. And I am going to just pick this one, this neon tunnel. I think this one looks pretty cool. You'll see that when I add that in, that it changes this tab up here. We had been working in the scripts tab. Now it's on backdrops. And in here, there's some options that we can use with that. We can add text to it. We can do some different things. We'll come back and take a look at that in a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and click on scripts, and what you'll see is we can actually write a program on top of our stage. And this is helpful because sometimes we might want to have some programming that occurs on just, or that's more general, that just occurs for the whole game, affects everything, instead of just one specific sprite. Some options for that might be, if I were to come in and say events, when the green flag is clicked, maybe I say set the score to 0. And that way, that's just a way to reset the game. Whenever I click on the green flag, it's going to reset the game, put my score back to 0. There might be a few other options that we add into this as well in a little bit, but that's just a kind of a general, this will be more of a general program that will affect everything in the game. Now, as I go through and I start playing the game, just coming in and scoring points, after a while might start to get a little boring. Oftentimes in games you reach a certain number of points and maybe you go up to the next level. Maybe when you score a number of points, the game gets harder. And so that's what we want to look at next, is how do we actually add levels? How do we make it so that as we score more points, the game gets more challenging? So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. We're going to come in here and we're going to say make a variable. And we're going to call this level. And we're going to say OK. And let's go ahead and while we're here, just set the level as well. And we always are going to start at level 1. And if we click on the green flag, we see that it reset our score to 0. And it set our level to 1. So I think what we should do is we should make it so that once we get 10 points, that our level is going to go up to number 2, to the second level. And when we make it to the second level, a new ball that we're trying to catch will come in, and a new beach ball that we're trying to avoid will come in then as well. So let's look at how we do that. So what I'm going to do is I can pretty easily make this so that I have the same ball and same beach ball just by doing a 2-finger click and by saying duplicate. When I hit duplicate, I see that I've got this new sprite here. And when I look at it, I also have all of the same programming. So I don't have to go in and reprogram everything. Then again, I can do a 2-finger click on the beach ball and hit duplicate. And the same thing happens. I get my new, that programming comes over. And now I've got 2 of these. Well, the problem though is that at this point, these are going to just show up as soon as I start playing the game. Well, that's not really what I wanted to happen. I don't want these to show up until I make it to the second level. So let's take a look at how we could do that and make it so that these aren't going to show up until we get to the second level. I'm going to come in and I'm going to use another if then else, and I'm going to add that in. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my operators, and I'm going to use the less than. I'm going to put this less than sign there. And I'm going to say if the level is less than 2, so that means that it's on level 1, what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to hide. So if the level is less than 2, then I want this ball to hide. But if it's not, If the level is not less than 2, which means that it's equal to 2 or it's above 2, then I want it to show. And so I can add that in, and now when I run that, it's going to make it so that this is not going to show up until I get to that level. I can also do the same thing for the beach ball. Again, I can duplicate this whole block. I can drag it over here to the beach ball and click on it. It kind of comes up here at the top, so I can click on that whole block. I can drag it down, and I'm going to add it in place right there underneath the show. Now when I hit the green flag, you see that those two new ones don't show up. They aren't a part of the game at all. And if I can get to 10 points, which hopefully I can, then those new ones should show up as well. Oops, and I forgot to do something there. So that's okay. That's actually a good thing. I'm glad that I showed that, because over here we talked about that it should be at a level 2, but we never set anything over here that said how that should get to level 2. So what I have to do for that is I have to create another program, and I'm doing this on the stage because this is a general setting. It's a general thing that shows how that's going to work. And so I need to come in and I'm going to put my if-then statement. And now what I need to do is I need to say if, and then put in my less than sign. And I'm going to say if the score is less than 9. Now, we don't really have a way to say it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. We just have these less than. So we have to kind of manipulate this. We did say that if the score was 10, although because it's saying if it's less than, we have to kind of just say 9 in this case, just the way that it works. And that's okay. So we're going to say if the score is less than 9, set the level to 1. Then we're going to add another if, then. We're going to put that underneath. We're going to come into our operators, and we're going to add this again. And we can say if the score, oops, actually I take that all back. We're going to add in another if then, but this time we're going to add an and. And we need to say, here this one was easy because we just could say if the score was less than 9. But to make it to level 2, our score has to be between 10 and 19. So we put this and in place to take account for that. Now it's got to be between two numbers, 10 and 19. And we're going to drag into that first block our greater than. And we're going to drag into the second block this less than, again, making sure that you see how we get this white glow around that piece. Make sure that you've got that on there. Drop it in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say if the score is greater than and the score is less than. And again, here what we're going to do, we have to just manipulate it a little bit to say if the score is greater than 9, which means that it's really going to be 10, since we don't have that greater than or equals to. And the score is less than 19, then it should set the level to 2. Now, as we run this now that we've set when the score or when the level should change, now when we do that, we should be able to move right into that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to manipulate this just a little bit. I'm going to say set the score to 9 just so that we can see what happens. So now I'm going to come over here, I get 10, and then you saw that those 2 came in. Now, just to kind of show the opposite, if I catch these ones that make me lose points, and I get down beneath 10, oh my goodness, I can't even try when I'm trying to do it, then what should happen is those should, the second set of sprites should go away, and I would no longer am on level 2, I drop back to level 1. So I can go from level 1 to 2, but then back down to level 1 as well. Now, it was kind of hard. I mean, we did see that we added some more sprites, but we only see this little level change right there. It would be nice to see if once we got to level 2 for something else to happen. And what we can make happen is we can make the background change as well. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here to where it says new backdrop. And I'm going to choose a new backdrop that it should change to once I make it to level 2. So I'm just going to choose the moon, and I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to come in here to my scripts. And you see that it went ahead and it changed my background. Well, I really wanted it to be on neon sky. So I can go in though and I can say that for level 1 that it should set the backdrop to neon tunnel. Or neon tunnel, I guess, rather, is what it's called. And then when it gets to level 2, it should switch the backdrop to moon. So when I start that, now you see it goes ahead and it goes right back to neon tunnel. If I were to play this and get to level 2, then it switches to moon. I lost the point, it went back to the neon tunnel. And when I make it back to level 2, then it switches to the moon. So that way there's a little bit more of a visual representation of the fact that I made it to level 2. I have some other visual besides just this little number changing here to tell me that I made it to that next level. Right, so we're getting pretty close to having a game that's going to be finished. We'll take a look at how to finish it off in this next video.